So I bought a second 100 amp hour battery, and I'm going to put this in parallel with my existing 100 amps so that I can double the capacity in my motorhome. And so here's how I'm going to do it. First thing I've done is I've bought a 100 amp fuse that goes on lugs itself. And it looks like there's just enough room to put it on one side and still have room for the bolts. So I'll choose either the positive or the negative. But I'll get the cables ready here in the shop. So I've got a couple of regular heavy-duty battery cables. I'm not quite sure how big these are. Maybe we could take a look. Okay, there are number 4. Now that should be able to do 100 amps, but I'll have to look it up. But these are the ones I have for now. So if I find out that this can't do 100 based on the specifications, I may upgrade. But 100 amp hour from EcoWorthy is rated at 100 amps. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie them in parallel with my existing one by running the positive to the positive and the negative to the negative. And so what I've done here is that I got myself a short 5/16 bolt, and then I'm going to bolt this on here like this, and then tie that lug directly to the battery. So we'll tighten this up, and then one side or the other. Then I'll come in here and I'll put this in like this, and as long as you break one of the wires, you have broken the circuit. So that will protect it in the event of overload. Now, the batteries have a built-in BMS that will theoretically cut it off at 100 amps, but I just want to be sure and have this lugged fuse, and then I won't have to worry about it. And I only paid like $5 for these. So anyway, I will tighten that up when I have the final position in the motorhome. A lot of this I won't be able to see in the motorhome because it is so tight. It's down into a very limited space. But I went ahead and tested this yesterday. So just from the factory, we've got 13.3 volts. And I went ahead and did a 20 amp load test, which I will show you. So I've got an inverter here. So here's this little inverter. I'm not quite sure what it's rated at. It's probably about 1,000 watts. But currently it has a 40 amp fuse in it. So if we put positive to positive, negative to negative, all right, flip it on. And I've got myself my little portable vacuum. This is rated at 2 amps AC. So the 2 amps AC is roughly 240 volts. So that is a 20 amp test, just to make sure that everything is working fine. I don't want to get it too low because I want to, when I tie these together and I put the final connection in, I want them at about the same voltage. So we're at about 13.3 resting. So we'll go into the motorhome and we'll do that next. All right, I'm inside the motorhome, and as you can see, I've got 13.2. There's a little bit of a load. I've got a light on, but that's going to get me very close in voltage to the new battery. And so I shouldn't have too much current between the two of them. I would say probably no less than 10 amps, which is just fine. All right, so I've got a flashlight in here, and then the battery is recessed in a box. So what I've done is I've got some slot here for the wires to go in and out for the charging, and then the little hole there is for the Hall effect sensor. So when we take this up, then you can see the battery down here, And so all of the loads coming and going go through the Hall effect sensor right here. So in order to do this in parallel, what I need to do is I need to connect here at the negative ground the parallel cable so that it is on this side of the load, and then the positive on the positive. So all of my sensors are going through the negative. And so you don't run the parallel through here again, or else it would count it twice. Because you want to be connected on one side of the Hall effect sensor there. So because this is so tight, I'm going to go ahead and connect it and show you how I've done after I connect it. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to shut off all the power in the motorhome, disconnect this, and then I'm going to grab an extension bolt, because the existing bolts that came with it right here, these silver ones, they are too short to add another lug. So I went down to and got some M8 by 1.25 metric bolts that are just a little bit longer so that I can add an additional lug. All right, so now I have the extension cable. I have put a bigger bolt in, cleaned up the corrosion on the positive, and then I have one here on the negative. And those are a little bit longer bolts. And then out here, I've taped the end of the positive, so there's absolutely no way that I can accidentally short something. And then the negative is over here. I may switch that bus back to the positive, but I didn't quite have enough room to put it on at that battery, so we'll see. All right. So next thing I need to do is I need to take this board and cut some holes in it and allow for these cables to come up. And I will do that next, and then I will hook the battery up to it up here where I have room. All right, so I've got your positive to the positive, negative to the negative on this side. And this is just the dry run test. You can hear the fan running in the background. Plus I had put up 2 solar modules. So if we shut off that fan so we can hear, we are charging at 144 watts with the 2 modules. Now the battery monitor went down to 0 because I disconnected it. So what I need to do is go in here and change this to 200 amp hour capacity instead of 1, and then we'll let it top off. But this is just a characteristic of the battery. The monitor is it assumes that it's 0 when you disconnect it from power. So it'll reset when it comes to the top. We'll do that a little bit later. All right, so let me get a flashlight. Now what I've done over here is I cut another hole, and then I put steel wool around the gaps so that if any mice from the battery box tried to get in, they couldn't get up here. And then there's those 2 big cables. In a situation like this, you don't have too many options because I don't have any other place to put this battery. But as you can see here on the positive terminal where I have the light flashed on, I have taped those so that anything metal that came in here wouldn't accidentally short to the other terminal over there, because that could be a real problem. But I still have enough room to put the rest of my stuff that I don't use that often in this, because this is under the back dinette seat. And then I've got my inverter here, and I want to upgrade this a little bit later and make this more, well, I don't know, organized or something. This is an old RV that wasn't really designed to have an inverter, and so I put an inverter in there, a little one that's a 400 watt, so that I could run my TV and DVD player and all the other things that I want to run. So anyway, it's now set up, and the last thing I need to do is to change the value on the amp hour meter. Press and hold, arrow down to 11 CA, then press this to select it, down arrow to arrow over, and that's the 2, up arrow 1, that's 200 amp hours, save. Okay, So now it changed to, it was about 5%, now it's 2% because it is now half because based on the amp hours that went in. So the next step is we want to bring this up to full so that we can have an accurate reading, and you can do that either with the solar over the next couple of days, or I can plug it in and have this converter do it. But I think I'll just do it for free and just let the solar do it. And then we'll have an accurate amp hour reading as far as how much is left in the battery. And that's all there is to it. This project is now done and I'm ready to go camping.